Hello everyone, this is the first episode as in the number follow 01, as we could call it for the introduction about the culture program. This program will be broadcast in a YouTube channel that belongs to Goodtrysound. Goodtrysound will be talking in every culture program that don't is including video recording every time. When the economy is low, we will do our best to produce a program about culture industry and culture workers. The both subjects we want to talk about and have a higher standard everywhere. The culture industry is very high about turnovers if you calculate on every larger event that happenings. All these culture workers are coming to this nation or to this city to show their work and to perform. Often the amount of people that takes their time and traveling to these events could be good. You could also talk about these subjects more, what the culture stands for and what the culture is all about. The culture industry is in several categories. Here are some of these we will talk about more later. Art, movie, music, dance, writing, theater, reading, books and magazines, radio, podcast. What is then culture? How is culture to watch when not everyone is performing culture? How do everyone else experience culture? Do we visit culture activities often or only when a new show is on premiere? How could culture be a more part of the community? How could culture be higher up on our daily living? When we are visiting culture activities, do only our friends that like that kind of activity follow with us that is visiting the activity? Or could the people that are hosts for the activity ask more people to follow, to do more commercial to the event and activity? How about commercial then? That is about money. On the economy and where are our fans and followers in the culture industry? How could more people join culture activities? Could even more people have newsletters from the culture industry to follow when an opening for a new culture is on premiere? And short events from big organizer? Or is it only a small group of people that visit culture activity? How could the culture activity have more followers, fans and visitors? The culture activity is sometimes for free. But the local community stands for the citizens. How could it be so that people do not visit a culture activity that is for citizens in the community? How could it be so that few only are visiting the culture activity? About how culture industry could have a higher standard, these questions is to ask yourselves how you think about culture industry and how you like events as culture and how you could begin to travel and explore to more culture activities and events. Here are some questions to apply. Don't we have time? Don't we follow our friend that visiting culture activities and events if the question reaches out to us? If we are following a group of friends in the city, are we not together the whole time or do we split up in the culture activity? Are we only visiting the city a few times so we can't have time for all the activities in the city? How could we travel to all the culture activities? Is there a lot of options in our city that we are in? Or do we need to schedule every trip to our culture activity every time we are going to our culture experience? When we are a culture lover, do we visit all the different culture activities or do we only visit the culture activity we have in our heart that we are following? Do we leave all the other activities to someone else? Don't blame yourself or think after this that you should have paid more attention to more culture activities when I was in the city or in the nation. For an example, the short or long cultural activity that is in the city or in the nation are not always permanent. The short music concert that the city community pays with taxes from the local citizens and companies should we have paid more attention to this event when they was in the city. For an example, there are several different music concerts that is for short term in time or period, for Christmas, short ensembles, radio concerts. Some of these are free to visit. So we blame ourselves when we don't visit if we had the time, of course. Or are we only enjoy the evening that comes afterwards with friendship, food and drinks at the event and the cultural activity that is after? Or at a local pub? There we are, everybody. That has been an activity together or as a small kind of tourist group in our own town. That the activity is on short term. It could feel a little bit awkward that it is a new show that we are seeing when we are visiting in our own town. When the organizer could have done a lot of work with the town only to be available to show their culture work. When or if everyone is at a local restaurant to celebrate the activity that has been to tell your story if someone want to hear about your cultural day experience. Don't tell anyone else's story. Tell the story together at the local restaurant if everybody want to tell. If we take art for another example, there the art stays often for long term that the local city hall decide to take in for a show. There are art workers have paint, made a sculpture or a statue. How do we see about the amount of money to pay our culture ticket when we're visiting our culture activity? Is the price too high that we can't afford the visiting? Or do we value other activities more than the culture? Or is the big picture that we have too small wallet? That we don't have afford with all of our culture activities, even that we don't want to speak or write, that we communicate about our issue that the wallet is too small. How could we be better to speak about our wallet? That we don't have afford with all of our activities, or that the price is too high, what we could value about all the activities that is in our community. That we don't pay attention, or that we don't have enough money to travel to all of our activities on our personal interest. All talk about that we don't have afford with everything after our bills are paid. Put us on the side. That we need to reach out every time we don't have money left. That is embarrassing for everyone. That don't be available to go to our head activity. How is the time when we are at our head activity? Do we stay there for a long time enough? Or do we have a rush every time we want to enjoy our culture experience? How do we explore when we are visiting? Could the organizer do more about the culture experience? To make the visitors more satisfied about their culture visit, what is making culture visitor to visit again or follow the organizer? Some people as fans and followers, some of their head culture activity around the world. How could we meet there? That both the visitor and the organizer is happy on the both sides. That organizer and visitor keep like culture experience and explore culture. As they are in each side. The organizer needs to have happy visitor to make a living. And the visitors do come to culture activity of different reasons. Some of the visitors is hard to reach out to, also hard to travel to culture activities. How far are we traveling for our culture experience? Are we only visiting on culture experience, or are we even listening to other stories, seeing a movie about culture, visiting other people's home over on dinner to talk about their experience and create new memories, to share their stories between each others that could create something about their experience or travel together to the next culture event. That we have more common together than we thought about before the dinner together. How could our culture experience be a more part of our better experience next time? How could we tell the organizer how something could be better, or to the local community that we don't have public transport to our part of the city? The event is in the town are hard to reach out to for the visitors, that we need more options to travel to every destination that have a culture activity. About the event that is hosting by a local community or by a company as an organizer, do we visit both of them, or do we forget sometimes what we have in our local community? Public is often for free, and company stores could we visit that is impermanent. Take the art gallery or the local culture center. Do they offering exciting news on daily time, or are we too petty to only visit when they have big news? Are we careful about the culture that we have? Are we doing what we can to keep the culture left? Or are the other part of the business about to have culture stores or events? That they do commercial and have their own visitors that pay their ticket money? The amount of the charge that keeps the culture business alive and working, or do we want that local community are sponsoring the events most of the part and the culture company have their own ticket money? Do every culture company survive on the ticket money, or are the fans and followers supposed to pay the company and local community business money to survive their work for a living about culture? How do we experience sponsorship about the culture industry and culture workers? Could anyone sponsor more to the culture from the government or from any business company? How do we experience the culture industry, and where should the attention be more pointed to? To the citizens' interest or the tourist interest from culture industry, or to the local citizens? Where should the visitors or the tourists travel to be a part of the culture industry and culture activity that we take for granted, that we have on daily time? Some of these culture activities didn't see or explore as a culture subject. It is that is on daily time. Some of the subjects depends on where we are living. If the citizens pay this culture subject with taxes, how often are we traveling to culture? Do we stop there to check out when we are close distance, or do it take a new show to visit or a new trip? How could the culture industry make a living on the culture? Who should pay for the culture industry and culture activities? And how could the culture industry draw people into the culture working? How could culture workers make a living of their work with culture practice? There is many people that love culture and want to explore what culture is all about. To see the art that is showing from the culture worker, to explore the painting or an art collection that is revealing. How do we see culture from distance or to be close? How are we seeing the culture at different kind of angles? When there is a lot of culture subjects around the world to explore. The culture industry that we take for granted and people want to explore and love, to be a part of the culture. How could we make the travel easier to the culture activities? Do we take our time to have all time to see or listen to culture? Is there something that is missing when we have our time of culture? Does everything exist on the internet or at a computer when we have our culture at distance? If we don't have time, even because we love or want to see more about the culture, what is then wrong if we can't take time of our own free time to watch or hear about culture? Do we want more culture to be on public service for free? Because we don't want to explore culture. We don't have money or don't think it's necessary to pay a ticket when culture is something that people do for fun, when they also can have a salary for what people do for a living. How do we see about people that get paid to do their hobby when they could work instead on a steel industry and do their own personal interest in the evenings? Here it is something that is on both sides. Culture is a part of our daily living. Also people that want to explore culture pays a ticket. How could we people that love culture or people that is curious about culture talk good about our culture experience? How could we draw people and others that we meet to be a part of the culture community? How could we that explore culture and are a part of the culture community tell others to join and be a part? How could we make or promote that culture still will be a part of our daily living and in our homes and lives? That we see on the walls. The radio station that plays music from artists that create music that people could listen to. Often at evenings we watch television or a movie that is also a part of the culture life. The movie or television is an icon for what culture could show in pictures that is revealing for the audience. When we do our time and experience or when wallet run us in the way we choose to live our daily life. What more could the government or business company do to make our daily life to be more easy? That we could explore and be a part of the more culture industry and see what the culture workers do. More time when other things are controlling our terms to live. If we have more time later, could these events be on the internet afterwards? If time doesn't exist, every people in the community could watch the program later. Could more cultural events be recorded? Where could we collect everything that is recorded? It is not free. The offering is high. Could we have the culture invites that includes friends to join weekend and evenings? The culture experience we could share with other people. Not only to share our experience over a dinner or at a local pub. How could we have more kind of way to talk about culture open in the community for everyone? How could we give more to the culture and have more back in return? How can we keep the culture industry in our world and local cities? How can we keep the line of business high valued and high ranked to ourselves and to others and to culture workers? And to other people that explore culture and tourists, also culture fans. How could we survive with culture work and at the same time reveal our work to other people that at the same time is buying a ticket to appreciate the culture work and everything with the visit and also the culture could survive? There could be different things depending on what we are visiting on our trip to the Culture Explore. About what we are going to see here in Culture Show in our daily lives. Could we use more culture in our day Could more work-related things be in after work or at the office that we could have in our lives and take in forever? That a culture worker get paid. That a culture worker could continue with culture practice. And don't have the branch professional working only at late evenings and weekends. There are other things in our lives that we do and could explore as work and family instead. That we don't have time or energy to have all of our time to culture practice. There are so many activities in the world to practice and to visit that we do what we like until we do other work. How about if we need other products or tools for our work with culture? Are we enough strong and capable to develop in our own terms? What we need, if of course the product is available to continue it. Do we have spare time and money to develop, or do we sell our ideas because we can't have the opportunity to process the whole product? Do we miscontact an industry if we are culture workers or company owners also? It is a lot to go through. If you come up with an idea you want to develop in your culture work, that is a tool you could use to make your work easier and better. The tool is only an idea in the beginning. And how much spare money do you have? How much time to develop your tool? No one can know before the tool is done for culture working and culture industry. How long time it takes? Do we have the education to process with a tool to develop? Or do we take time to educate or learn on spare time to continue the whole process? That your idea will be a tool for more people than only on the paper as an idea. How much does it take to develop your idea in different kind of terms? Everything depends on the idea. How big marketing your tool have? How many tools you will manufacture? Where are we when we do our culture work? Some of the culture is difficult to practice at home. It takes a lot of space. Every time you're going to have your culture time at your home, you're taking everything back from the closet because nothing has space that you live. Your home is for you and your family and people that visit your home. Is it too expensive to rent or buy a property to do your culture work? Do you see the local hall and politicians that every city should have some room to explore culture work? Or is your free time only your own time? You are spending money on things to do off time, not on culture work or practice. What are the local city people voting for or have terms on the city or nation? How much are we forced to do on our own terms? And what is including in our taxes? To explore culture as an employee or company owner, it is a lot of time and money to spend only on culture. Why do we spend so much time only on culture? Because we like culture. Could everyone in every city have some space in the city hall to practice culture work? Or is that too expensive question for the community? That not everyday workers have afford with culture practice. That only culture professionals have time and space to practice culture work. There is no space for everyone in the nations to practice culture. When the practice can't be in everyone's home, even that everyone could have afford with on their taxes as free spaces in the city. How is that so that we take culture for granted? How many is practice culture now in these days? Is culture industry on survive or not? Is culture industry left in years in the future? The city and the politicians have many questions ready before to handle with the taxes that comes in from the local citizens. To have a salary from the culture work is also to work with any other kind of industry or service sector. There need to be a request work and somehow will pay for the product that will be delivered. Others, it will not be a pay-off industry. It will be a free zone area for everyone to be a part of, kind of a public service. There the work will be paid with taxes. There is a big question we want to raise a hand to ask people. Is there too much to ask if culture could be a more part of the sponsor of other payments than from people that works or have other incomes and interests? That more people could explore culture, not only of money issue and requests turned down, they suggest from other people to follow, or have more interest in our daily life. The culture follow us wherever we are. More or less, if we go back to the beginning, the culture industry is more than we think about sometimes. We see often in movies that people are visiting a photo or art gallery, but we don't always think that some way the painters also need to survive on some income. Where does that money come from? Only from a ticket sale or selling a couple of paintings every month? Everything is sometimes also expensive, as employees and payments for properties rent, and everything that comes with. Have you been to a museum? Do you have a museum close that you live or work? If you have, do you visit a museum or only kind of drive by when you're traveling? There are several museums in our world, international. Are you that kind of human that visit the public places if you could? Are you interested that you don't research at the internet with your computer or your phone, looking after pictures and words about what's new, and keeping you away from newsletters from the museums? Could you visit any museum that is open for public service anywhere and don't bother what the museum is showing in their space? Or do you only travel to those museums that are in your kind of category, that runs in your personal interest? If you're traveling with your friends, how much money are you prepared to buy a ticket at a museum if it's not for free? The museum has your category in your personal interest. How far are you willing to travel to your museum that you will visit, if you had the chance to travel anywhere? How is the museum? Is it simple to have a museum? It costs a lot of money. Where does that money come from? Often a museum comes out from a history that is based on true stories. And there's a request to see what the evidence that is written, or pictures, or movies that tells a story behind how this museum is and what the museum is about, and why it is so popular. Even a sculpture that is close to how it could look alike the time of period. How often is a museum about subjects that has been recently? Often the museum starts with a long time back. There the museum shows how it was for this time of period. Often the museum could show community-related artwork from years back. If the museum is not for free, could it be famous people that have started a company, often as a foundation? Their people as employees is in the board and also at the foundation daily work. The people that this foundation shows about could not be alive no more. The people has written a deal from the family that has a patent law on the family members have done. The story is closed to talk about otherwise. To open up a foundation and to have a board that runs the business on daily time. Their people could explore what his family members have done in history at the museum that they maybe have started by a foundation by their children. This museum that not is driven by a government could show another story that they want to tell. A museum that is driven by a government is sometimes for public service and also about different kinds of subjects. Have you ever been to a museum that shows old places, their people, that kind of employees show off their work with iron as the old craft, where the employee could be volunteer or rarely government employee? They're this kind of old craft which fabricate products that is on daily time now on industry. That the products comes out from an industry or a factory, where the products come from old craftsmanship. The products from not so long time ago was manufactured by our hands that made the product finished with help from a fire that was made the iron heat. That made it possible to bend the iron. This was creating for a reason, for some in the community that needed that piece of iron. The iron craftsman is their iron workshop for a long time ago could have regular customers. The iron workshop did create horseshoes. The craftsman didn't bend the iron that was straight in the fire. The hammer did the work by punch the iron in the middle. The iron piece did turn at the direction the craftsman wanted. The piece that was a straight iron from the beginning has been working at the iron shop. The iron is taking shape as a finished horseshoe. The iron craftsman is not done. The ends at the iron needs to be straight on both sides. There the horseshoe will fit at the horse if it's made correct. When the horseshoe is mounted at the horse, there is a hole at the horseshoe that the craftsman does with tools. There the nail is the hole at the horseshoe. There the hammer meets the nail by punch in the horse feet. There the horseshoe is stuck at the horse feet. When everything is done, the horse is ready to return to the horse stable. Many of the young people in Europe, in Sweden, have culture in school, in young age, when they start to sing. For an example, close to Christmas. And later, maybe they are singing in the shower, and we're not thinking about that is culture. That is from culture industry. And we will not forget that in Sweden we have a religion that we go to church every Sunday that have open doors, that everyone can sing with if the people wants to. Now this has been the premiere with culture program. This is the introduction, a short one, and we will continue every month. We have no date for the culture program is releasing. This culture program is not sponsored or collaborating on government or with other companies. This program is on public service sponsored by ourselves. This program of culture is not including companies or government authority. We are not pointing at any company or taking commercial for companies in this culture program in 12 parts. We are commercial free from companies and governments until that day we write a deal that is including sponsorship. We will not talk about famous people or companies or governments more than we need to do. This has been the first program in January, and this is the introduction. In February, we will have culture workers. In March, we will have writing. In April, reading. In May, books and magazines. In June, radio, podcast and audiobooks. In July, movie. In August, art, sculpture and design. September, dance. October, theater. November, music. And we will end this in December 2026 with a program review and the end. Thank you for listening to this culture program. This has been the introduction and our opening part. We have been taking up a couple of things about culture industry and culture workers, and we will continue in 12 parts. We will do our best to broadcast the program and to record movie and audio. See our commercial about culture part on our homepage or at the YouTube channel. Don't forget to explore our homepage at www.goodtrysound.com. Until the next part of culture is releasing, have a great culture experience. Thank you.